So here's a quick disclaimer up front. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the Builder Seat podcast. You will definitely hear some noise in the background, and well, we're not in a studio. This is a construction site. There's construction going on. You're going to hear noise. Thanks again. So let's let the show begin.
Welcome to the Builder Seat, a Roebbelen Contracting Incorporated podcast, shining a light on the people of Roebbelen, our partners, our exceptional projects, our culture, and core values we uphold every day. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Hitesh Dewan, and we're happy to have you back listening to us here at the Builder Seat. If you're new to the Builder Seat, thanks for joining us. And if you haven't caught any past episodes yet, I encourage you to take a look at some of our past episodes about culture and life at Roebbelen and in the construction industry. Today, we're happy to have Kevin Dobson, the founder and executive director of the Capital College and Career Academy. Thanks for coming, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you here. I think today is going to be a great episode because we get to talk about education in the construction industry, and even more so, education for those that need to enter or want to enter the industry, because as we know, there is just a constant need for added education, for added minds and mindsets. And so I think we really want to hear about the CCCA and its mission.
Yeah, I mean, it's the future of the construction industry. So
it really is.
Yeah.
So let's let our listeners know, what is the CCCA, where are you located, and what is your starting mission?
Yeah, Capital College and Career Academy is a new charter high school. We're located in North Sacramento, serving students grades 9 to 12. We're actually opening next fall. Roebbelen's been at the ground level here through the inception, the charter petition process. But our focus really is it's a school that's built on hands-on learning. Our goal is to catch students at an early age, get those students in elementary, middle school years excited about working with their hands, being creative. And when they get to our campus, it's a whole school built around student voice and choice. We have a career exploration that happens in their freshman, sophomore year. Ultimately, students move into internship opportunities based on their interest and passion. Through those 4 years sequence at our high school, they are participating in rigorous college-infused classes. Again, has that construction thread running through not just the CTE class, but their English, their math, their science courses, and then ultimately pathways into a career, into a 4-year university, or directly into a certified apprenticeship.
Fantastic. And yeah, I mean, Roebbelen is very happy to be a part of the partnership with CCCA, and we'll definitely talk more about that and some awards that we've even recently received. So thanking the industry there. Amazing what you can do with education and sort of replacing what everybody has otherwise thought about sort of that 4-year high school process. So this is basically taking place of that, year 9 to 12 process that most students would go through, but infusing, as you said, the collegiate training.
Yeah. My frustration as a high school principal, even as a high school teacher, I mean, that's what started CCCA was, a lot of the exploration, the trying to figure out what I want to do happened after high school. And by that point, students' lives have started. There's this narrative, you have to go to college. And so for those students that did go to college, often racking up debt, and it would take a year or two, maybe 3 years to figure out really what they wanted to do. And there's got to be a better way. I feel that CCCA is not revolutionizing in of itself education. I mean, we're not doing any one thing that's unique. But I think what is really unique with our model is that we've taken best practices from a number of various models and rolled that into one school.
That's really great. And you make a solid point there. We expect students to generally know what it is they want to do for careers, and you don't know it until you've been exposed.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part, right?
I think vital to what we're trying to do is the career exploration. So we have a career fair on our campus. Obviously, it's the full gambit of companies representing the built environment. And students self-select, whether that be a Caltrans, a Roebbelen, a SMUD, maybe an architecture engineering firm. And then over the course of that semester, students are off campus twice a week. The goal is that they are spending a week or 2 weeks in each of the different departments. Obviously, depending on the size of that company will determine, how long that job shadow is. But the goal is to provide many different opportunities just to see what makes up that company. I mean, look at your role here at Roebbelen, right? Most people would never associate that with a construction company.
Sure.
And so the goal is not just that students will find something that piques their interest and gets them excited, but also I think equally valuable is, man, I don't want to do that career. And if we can start to identify those things early on, we can start to really put students in places where they can contribute and feel valued and ultimately, make an impact for their own lives and obviously for their community.
That is such a great way to do it. And I'm glad that you touch on the idea that students have this opportunity to see what they also don't want to do. It's really great to think that you really want to get into a certain aspect of a career. Oh man, I love numbers, right?
Yep.
That's great. Maybe you don't want to do numbers for a bank.
Yep.
You start to realize, no, I want to do numbers for somebody who's putting something in the ground,
Yep.
right? And that's a really big thing. The other thing that I would add to that is kind of, I think the term I've tried to coin is like a tangential career. I'm going to point at Aaron because he's here in the room, so I'll use him. Aaron's in media. And again, as somebody who's in media, the first thing you don't think about is, construction. I'm going to be a media person, but in construction. And yet I know that working with Aaron, I've seen there's a different excitement of being able to take stories from the construction of a project, from the life of a project, and be able to, bring that out rather than just typical social media as we know it. That tangential career choice is huge.
And I think from a marketing standpoint, that's been, somewhat difficult, but we've been really intentional, right? You'll notice our name is college and career. You have those opportunities if a student's super motivated, you get an associate's degree while you graduate from this high school. There's a pathway to get up to 3 years of college. But going back to those, tangential careers and just how expansive the career opportunities are within the construction trades, that opportunity really just to not frame it as a trade school. And you'll notice that construction is not in our name because we know in the construction trades, there's so many different pathways, but I think for the layperson, they hear construction, it's like, oh, my kid's not going to go swing a hammer for the rest of their life. And that might be a great career opportunity for young people, but I think it self-selects people that otherwise may actually end up going into that career being really passionate about it because there's all these preconceived notions. And so just one more, I think, sidebar on that, from the East Coast originally, we have some great VOTEC schools. And my frustration with a lot of the VOTEC schools was they are centered on a single industry sector. You get immersed in this, you're ready for a career. But if a young person says, hey, I want to go to college, oftentimes those students would be so focused on that career, they didn't have the minimum requirements. So they have to actually go to a community college before they could go to a four-year university. So our goal was never to pigeonhole a young person, to get them to graduation with as many doors open as possible.
That's such a great pathway, and it's well thought out. It really is. So given the fact that you're opening up these pathways, we understand that you've selected the area you're in really based on that need, and that you may even be looking at a second site.
Yeah. I would say first in terms of the industry sector, right? The focus on construction, it was a natural fit. Obviously, the need for a skilled and trained workforce and really the need to fill positions throughout the industry. From an educational standpoint, it was exciting to partner with construction because it makes learning more relevant, right? From an educational standpoint, we know that hands-on learning improves reading, math outcomes, and so is this perfect fit. With that being said, our team has been, I think, actively seeking, well, what is the 3 to 5 year to 10-year plan for CCCA? I think ultimately we would like to move into other industry sectors potentially, but I will say that we've been having some initial conversations about a second site focus on the construction trades somewhere in the San Joaquin Valley. So we just wrapped up a tour down in Stockton, talking to industry partners, looking at where that could be.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. This Central California corridor just has so much potential and obviously so much construction already. So yeah, it makes sense that your focus is there. But I love the fact that you're open to whatever career technology students want to go into, and the self-selecting model that you mentioned as well. Students self-select where they want to head.
Yep.
That's the best way for a young person to feel like they get to choose their potential, is not feel like they can't.
Yeah. And their motivations build around that, right? And so when you look at where we're located with our first site, you've got the 49-50 lowest median income neighborhoods. You've got some of the lowest educational attainment rates in the city, some of the highest crime rates in the city. At the one closest comprehensive high school, a third of kids aren't graduating. Wow. And what we hear from families is just that curriculum, right? The school environment does not really meet their needs, right? It's not relevant, it's not engaging. And they're the two words that I think CCCA is built on is relevancy and engagement. It's all based around students' interests. And I have a strong belief that every young person wants to succeed, right? No one wakes up and says, I want to go fail school. I want to just do nothing with my life. And so really it's how do we get those young people excited at an early age before they've made up their mind that I don't have a future.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And so on that note then on enrolling students, what does it take to get into a CCCA?
Yeah, so we're a free public charter high school. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what is a charter school. When you boil it down, really a charter school tends to be a little more flexible in terms of their curriculum. There is somewhat less constraints put on a charter school compared to a comprehensive school. I think oftentimes the politics that gets rolled in is that charter schools do not have to have a unionized teachers association associated with it. And so that's where sometimes you see the politics play. There are charter schools that the teachers are unionized. So, again, another misconception there. But as a free public charter high school, we also cannot segregate in terms of what students apply. So an example for my own, I have a 17-year-old stepson. He's in the IB program at Mariloma High School.
Mm-hmm.
He actually had to apply to get into that IB program.
Wow.
As a charter school, that's illegal. We can't ask, whether or not a student has a disability on the application form. We can't ask for past grades on that application
Mm-hmm.
form. And so the only time that we have a lottery is if we have more applicants than seats available.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, we've built priorities for students that are first in their family to go to college and for students who are on free and reduced price lunch. I guess back to your question, though, of how do we recruit students and what are we doing to get young people in? We've been running monthly youth events with the Girl Scouts the first Thursday of every month. That's with a wide range of industry partners where students participate in some type of STEM activity and have a challenge. Last year, we had over 150 girls participate in that. This year, on track for 300.
Wow.
In addition to that, we ran a summer camp for high school, middle school, young adults, and then got funding for another high school summer camp this past summer.
That's great.
And now are running a middle school after school program where we've got free meals, student stipends, and it's all, again, hands-on learning, getting a snapshot of what it's like to be a CCCA student.
That's so fantastic. I love how much engagement you're putting out there in the community. Like you and I talked, just prior to the mics turning on, it is about engagement. It's about exposure for these kids. It's about the ability for them to see what potential is out there, what potential is open to them. It's near and dear to me because both, one, I'm a adjunct professor for a professional education group for one of the UC systems here. And I see everything from didn't choose college and chose to do this to retired and returning. To see everyone's eyes light up about the potential in the industry alone is amazing. It doesn't matter if you've been in the industry for 20 years, you're still going to learn something new. And if you've never been here, then everything is new.
Yep.
And the second point really is you mentioned first in their family and all. I'm my parents emigrated here and I'm the first to go to school here, and it was a big deal to go to college and make a career out of it and find a company and find a place that you want to make a career ultimately too, and how do you choose, right?
Yep.
And that's it's great to know that the potential is all out there.
Yeah, I mean, related to that, what is exciting with the construction industry, I mean, it struck me through all of the conversations and development of CCCA is that sense of family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're in an apprenticeship, in the skilled trades, and that's your work crew and your work family, or, in the front of the house operations, I think there's this pervasive feeling of connectedness within the construction industry, particularly in this region. And then the other thing that's come through is, as we've talked to industry professionals, is that pride that they've built something. When they're driving down 99, it's like, hey, that's the bridge that I built, and that's going to be here well beyond my time on this earth. And, that's something that I think really resonates with a lot of young people as well, is, particularly with the communities that we're serving, is to have that sense of family. I think a lot of young people turn to school, but then to say not just the school, but look, here's these career opportunities where you can keep that feeling of togetherness and connectedness. And then, to have a tangible impact on the skyline, right, of your community, to give back in ways that few others really have that opportunity.
Sure. Yeah. I can actually think of the number of buildings in the downtown skyline that I've walked prior to them ever being fully constructed. In fact, the Sturs building, the Golden One Center, some others that, you've had an opportunity, people that work there, you work there, something like that. But that is a concrete anchor that you got to have a hand in that is part of your community forever.
Yep.
And that community engagement, that familial feeling, I think that's a big reason why Roebbelen has the partnership with CCCA as well. Yep. I can't not address that. I think that was a big thing for Ken Wenham, our CEO and president, said, I have to do this. This is it's more of a calling, not just this is a great opportunity. No, this is a calling. This is something that we need to help foster, engage, and push.
Well, I will say that Ken's been came on board right at our first charter hearing. So maybe, that's something we can go into as well. But
Yeah.
we've been really fortunate. I mean, we started back in 2019, officially incorporated in April, and our board has grown, our industry partnerships have grown. But fundraising to start a school like this is a challenge. And to start a school, you have to be approved by an authorizer. And so our authorizer is the Sacramento County Office of Education.
Mm-hmm.
There politics abound within that process to get approval. And at that first charter hearing going into it, Roebbelen stepped to the plate and said, look, we are making a significant financial contribution. We are standing behind CCCA. We believe in this mission. Obviously, Ken joined the board, and I think that really got us to the show, right? And we've been fortunate all along to be supported by a number of industry partners and continue to be supported by a range of industry partners. But I think, kind of being the first lead donor to step up and in that way was significant, right? And really enabled us to be where we're at today.
Yeah, well, I know that I can speak on behalf of Roebbelen to say we're happy to, because it is a personal passion of so many of us here, is that industry education, again, industry exposure, and just being able to infuse this love of our industry. It is a moment of personal pride, that we love to do what we do.
Yeah.
And so we want to share that passion. We want to see that passion grow. We have an intern that working here that also has a tie with CCCA, and we're very happy to have had that opportunity to have her join us. And she works with our design team here, and I think that's just fantastic to see that there's already a tie.
Yeah, and to go into that in a little more detail, I mean, something that I'm so excited because I think that's the first real example of what CCCA is all about. The young lady that we're referring to was actually a former student of mine. I don't know if you know that, but about a year and a half, 2 years ago, she reached out and said on LinkedIn, said, "Is this Mr. Dobson from the high school I was teaching at?" And said, "Yeah," and we started talking, and at that point, she thought she was going to become a teacher and was trying to build a resume, and said, "Well, look, I'm starting a new charter school. If you're looking to build your resume, what are some things that you could do?" And so she came on, volunteered her time for an entire year, ran all of our social media, and then in that process had switched her major to design technology at American River College. Yeah, I mean, just being around our board and the industry partners, it came time where she's like, "Hey, I need an internship." And so, we put that out there to the board members, and sure enough, you guys picked her up. And again, that opportunity that exists when you have industry professionals with young people and that opportunity, I mean, that's what we're all about, like I said.
Yeah. Well, and she had an amazing portfolio. It wasn't a hard choice.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. No, so that's, and so on the idea of a partnership and all too, and really this being a pretty model method here that really hasn't occurred. For those of you in the industry that know about, Bluebeam software, not an endorsement of the software, great company, by the way. They know me well and I know them well, but they had their Extreme conference that they do annually, just like everyone in the industry has their annual conference. And recently we applied for a recognition award, really on behalf of CCCA, for what's occurring. Big shout out to Bluebeam for having brought us there to accept an award on behalf of CCCA. But to show the industry that this partnership is possible, that this type of growth is possible. I really hope for any of you out there that are essentially decision makers in this process, or anybody that would like to influence a process like this, I think do it, go for it. We need to see more education in the industry. And I think that award was a really milestone marking point to be able to say, check it out. The construction industry can have a full hand in education of the next step of the industry. We don't just have to wait for a college or university to put together their own curriculum and then for us to just say, okay, this is what we're going to get. No, we have an opportunity to really tailor and say, we would love for those who are passionate about the construction industry to come to us. If they're not, if they want to go to engineering, great too. That's, again, the open door policy there with CCCA, right? Is if you want to go into something else, great. But that's your passion, fulfill it and do it with your full heart's content.
And that's something that I know Ken and I have talked a lot about, and our board has been really excited. Going back to what I said earlier, our goal is always to keep as many doors open for young people as possible, not pigeonholing them and say, all right, you've got to be a welder, you've got to be a carpenter. Like, these are great pathways, right? But understanding that, one, we need to be able to build a school enrollment, right? And not every kid wants to go into that one career pathway. But again, we're excited about is just that chance to really explore the full scope of the construction industry. And we've heard from our industry partners that it's not just the skilled trades that we need. We need people in construction management. We need engineers. We need architects. I mean, it's the whole scope of the industry right now is needing an infusion of more people.
Well, and we talked about this too, as just, starting a business of any kind, you realize that there are facets to everything.
Yeah.
And so HR, accounting, it goes across the entire gamut. Every business needs every hand. And at the same time, you also need people that are exposed to it, that are knowledgeable about it. And also they could come from any walk of life and still end up in our industry, for example.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that obviously resonates with me personally as well. I mean, it's if you work hard, right, you show up, you have that positive attitude, right? Like the sky is the limit. And you look at the pathways, whether that be at a Roebbelen or a Caltrans. I mean, Caltrans has a path where you can still go be an engineer without ever going to college. I mean, a state job at 18 all the way to an engineer. I mean, these are fantastic pathways that are available. It's not, we're not just putting some kid into a job, right, that's going to make minimum wage. These are career opportunities, long-term investments in young people.
Yeah, that's great. How's the educator's background and educator selection going for CCCA, and how do you envision that going forward? Because I'm sure it's going to be a while, I know, before things get posted, but I think people's gears will get turning right now.
Yeah, through the process, one thing that I think has surprised me is we've actually gotten quite a bit of interest from teachers that have reached out and said, the traditional model that I'm a part of is not working. We had an individual from Elk Grove, became our third employee, who early on saw a KCRA article and said, hey, I don't know much about this, but I want to learn more. I saw the article and I've got to be involved in some way. And so in terms of hiring teachers, I think we have a lot of flexibility in terms of our course sequence and, an opportunity to bring in industry partners as potentially teachers as well. But one of the things I think that I feel as the school leader and the founder is you have an amazing opportunity to create that culture at the ground level instead of, where I was a principal, right? You've got to shift the culture and get it to where you want it to be. And so with that comes that responsibility of really hiring quality people, right, that are deeply invested to young people and student success. And I think, everything else kind of falls into place. I can teach somebody how to teach, but you've really got to just be passionate about teaching and care about young people in the community that we're serving.
That's right. Yeah, no, the passion for watching that growth is going to be the most important part. You can build a curriculum, but you can't teach passion.
Exactly.
Well, and on curriculum, this is my personal call out to the industry vendors out there. There's a variety of software companies that work in the construction industry. I want to just say, calling on all of them, this is one of those wonderful opportunities for us to be able to teach and expose students to just every tool that is in the toolbox, right?
It's a whole school focused on the construction trade. So I think that is such a unique opportunity. Most schools, you have your trades class, right? Your CTE class. And then they go back into regular English, the regular math class. So just as an example, right now we're working on a zero carbon science pathway that's a partnership with Caltrans and SMUD. We're working on an engineering and architecture pathway with Lionakis and folks from Cal Poly. And so, just developing the curriculum, we've been tapping into those industry partners.
That's so great. Are you accepting students kind of in their mid to late 30s?
Yeah, our applications are open, right? And so we've heard from a lot of adults like, man, I wish I had something like this when I was in school. And so we see that the construction industry is probably going to be a big driver of our enrollment. I mean, families that are already in the trades know the value of the trades. And so that's been another, kind of, call out that we've asked from our industry partners is, hey, share that our applications are open, encourage employees to visit our website. Because if you've got an 8th grader in the Sacramento region, I think obviously I'm biased, but I think we've got a really unique school to offer. And again, a young person can go through our school and it doesn't mean that they have to go into the trades, right? That opportunity to get 2-3 years of college out of the way to build a resume from the moment you walk in the door. That's something that's just clearly not happening at really any other school in the region.
Speaking of like having an academy opportunity or even a vocational opportunity, I was fortunate enough to be in a school district where there was a building trades academy at my high school. But while we were at that academy, we were constantly receiving tools from other schools whose voc eds were shutting down. And it was a sad moment. We got 3 new table saws, and you look on the side and there are just all the other schools around us. I was like, you got to be kidding me. No one else has this opportunity. Like no one's getting this chance to be able to see these tools. And it was great that we had the chance, but I felt awful that there were entire districts that just didn't have this chance anymore. And that's my personal passion of wanting to share this again, is that I got lucky to have that exposure at that age, but not everybody does. And so you making this available is, again, fantastic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And, the other side with that is we're excited. Like for me, it was, just putting together a board and developing a team and getting the word out. And I'm just kind of going through the process, right? Like the first step was we were just knocking down every door we could to try and get partnerships. And then there was a shift where people were starting to come to us to partner. Yeah. And then we finally got the charter petition after so much hard work. But then really that just kicked off the start of the next phase and all the hard work that comes with it. And so while we've been recruiting students and getting closer to opening day, I think the next exciting benchmark that we have is right now our project's out to bid. And so construction's going to start in about a month, and we have such an incredible space. It's a unique building in of itself. And then, with the build out, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see next year this time where kids are in seats, the construction's done, and we're really doing the work that we set out to do.
Yeah, that's going to be great. It's going to be amazing to watch the growth of that. And I really hope that you're constantly posting, updates and things on your websites and things like that. And I know that we will have more info in the show notes so that everybody can go ahead and click on the website links and any other social links that are there. Yep. As we kind of wrap up our segments with these podcasts, we have a section that we call What's on Your Heart. It's kind of what's on your mind, but really, something near and dear to you, and what do you want, everybody to hear. This is your moment.
Gotcha. Well, first of all, I'm just thankful for, all the opportunities that have become available because of this school and the hard work that we're doing, the support by industry experts. I'd be remiss if I don't mention that I just had a newborn baby, less than just a week ago. So, I've been enjoying that. That's number 3. And then, also just want to point out that we recognize that as a high school, we can only do so much, right? And really, we've been putting together a community school model, those youth events that I talked about earlier. Obviously, the high school, but then we have partnerships with Sac State's Office of Continuing Ed, working with UC Davis's Office of Continuing Ed, and really looking to have them come in and do some adult programming on our campus on nights and weekends. Yeah. It's an opportunity, I think, again, unlike any other in the region, to really support an area that has been so underinvested, underserved for so long. So, with that build out, I think becomes that tangible next step to really start supporting not just our students, but the community itself.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that tangible next step is inevitable, I know, with the support of everyone in the industry and your passion behind it. So thank you, Kevin, for being on the show. Thanks, everybody, for listening again. I hope you take a moment to check out the notes, follow and support CCCA, reach out to your partners. Let's see this happen in an amazing way.
Yeah, website's capcca.org. Check it out, and obviously love to connect with any partners.
That's great. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, everyone.
Today's episode is produced and edited by Roeblelen's digital media specialist Aaron Zaragoza. Hosted by Director of Strategic Operations Hitesh Dewan. Original music by Superintendent of Concrete Rich Collenberg. With music production by J.K. Northrop. Thank you for listening to The Builder's Seat.